Nathan Macintosh, welcome to SnobCast. I'm Gianni. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, Gianni, nice to meet you, man.
Are you in New York right now?
I am, yeah, I got back yesterday.
Amazing. What are you on, like a little tour? What's the situation? What's going on?
I guess you could call it I'm doing shows, you know what I mean? So I was in Montana this past weekend. I'm going to Chicago next weekend, Ottawa after that, and then taping a thing in New York, and then February 16th I'm doing Biltmore Cabaret in Vancouver, JFL.
Hello? You hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. That's exactly what we're here to talk about. JFL Vancouver, the Biltmore, February 16th. Am I correct? It's got to be exciting. You're a big staple. I'm in Montreal, actually. So I know you're a big staple of the festival in general. What's it like going to Vancouver, taking it over to Vancouver instead of Montreal?
You know what? This is actually my first time doing JFL Vancouver. I've done Toronto a bunch of times. I've done Montreal a bunch of times, but I'm excited about it, man. I love Vancouver, so I'm excited to go.
Yeah. And is it also the same thing, kind of like when you're here in Montreal, where it's like comedy camp, I guess you get to, do like 10-ish days. Are you there for the entire duration? Or are you there just for that one gig or?
I'm there for a couple days, but just doing my show and then maybe some guest spots or stuff on other ones. But yeah, because it doesn't tape things or that type of deal, I think it'll still be camp in the way that there's just a whole bunch of comedians there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But how do you feel about JFL when it comes around to Montreal? Because I know sometimes it could be a little bit maybe tedious for comedians that are there because you're like, I'm doing shows, and then if you're not part of the festival, it might be harder to do just regular shows in the city at that time.
Yeah, I think for me, it's more of a like as a I guess want to say like podcaster or whatnot. It's fun. It's actually my fifth or sixth year actually being with the festival like every year, and it's
Okay.
the first. And I love it because I get to talk to different comics, and I like picking people's brains. So I like learning about different things, and for me, it's more of just getting the connection, and then planning my calendar out in a way that I can go to every show imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's days where I've done like 7 shows in one day, like you just gotta kind of plan your schedule accordingly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, for
And
sure. So do you not do stand up?
I produce shows. I produce
Okay.
comedy shows. Yeah, I did dabble in stand up before the pandemic. I kind of haven't really gotten myself back into it. A lot of people are saying that I should. But I don't know what's holding me back. I really do enjoy producing though. Like I love connecting with comics and just learning about them and how they go about their everyday job, right? Because you gotta bring in the cash, you gotta, support yourself and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I know it's a tough gig, and it's funny that you mentioned I saw you had a Tonight Show mug right now.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I was curious to know, you hear about all these stories about people doing the Tonight Show or doing late night. Um, what the hell is it like to be in that?
Yeah.
Like that's the only way I can phrase it. Like, what is it like to be in that mindset? You're about to go on TV, international, like whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you prep for that moment? And what's it like the moment you get the phone call, be like, "Hey, you're gonna do Fallon tonight"?
Uh, it's all pretty great. Like doing the show is really, really fun. The moment before you go out, like when you're backstage behind the curtain and Jimmy is talking about the next segment and they're introducing you,
Yeah.
that whole part is very cool. It's very it's I don't know. It's because you kind of know that this is they're only going to do this thing once, so it sort of has to be, the way that you want it to be. All tapings are sort of that way, but yeah, I don't know. It's a really cool experience, man. I'm very happy that I've been able to do it a couple of times. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, growing up, I'm from Halifax.
Yeah.
I used to hang outside of bars to watch fights, like when we were like kids.
Okay. Like fights, like bar fights, or like you mean like fights, like okay.
No, bar fights, and
Yeah.
every play. So Halifax's bar used to be called the Copper Penny, where I grew
Yeah.
up in Clayton Park, Fairview.
Hmm.
And every Friday we would go down there to watch fights because there was always fights. Like people were rolling out of the bar. People fought before they even went in the bar. Um, anyways, I only say that to say that it's cool to go from that as like a 13-year-old to doing this show. It's just like it's a really cool experience, man. Like I said, I'm happy I've been
Yeah.
able to do it a few times.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, how are you enjoying your time in New York? Because I mean, you went from Halifax. Did you go straight to New York, straight from Halifax, or
I
did you
lived in
move around a
Toronto
bit?
for like 6 years.
Okay.
Hmm.
What is I know it's a cliche question, but like Toronto comedy scene, New York comedy scene, not at all the same. Um, would you say like when you gave me a face there, would it be more or less the same, or is it more? I feel like New York crowds are more demanding. Um,
Yeah, I mean
content wise,
the
like
the
material
the
wise.
the Toronto scene, the Toronto scene is great. I think it's a pretty good um lead up to what New York is because there's a
Okay.
lot of shows and also there's a lot of different types of audiences in Toronto.
Mhm.
Like ton, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
so many. And New York is the same way. There's just more, it's just a bigger, there's more of it. There's more shows, there's more people. But the Toronto comedy scene is I'd say it's like a smaller version of what New York has, but it's great. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And again, a lot of different types of audiences that will prepare you to go to a place like New York where sometimes the crowd is 1,000,000% not from New York. It's all,
Yeah, tourists.
yeah, man. So,
Yeah.
and I feel Toronto has, they do have so many different types of people from so many different parts of the world that
Hmm.
it's a pretty good lead up to that.
When you're writing your material and testing it out, there's obviously some of your personal favorites that you're writing down there and you think, wow, this is really fucking funny. But then you go on stage and it doesn't get the same reception. How do you deal with that sort of do you kind of rework the bit so that you can keep it because it means so much to you, or do you kind of just say, ah, fuck it, doesn't work, next joke?
Well, what
Or
I like to do personally is I like to tell everybody in the crowd they're wrong. You're
which is usually the
100%.
case. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% wrong, and I spike the mic at the closest person to me, and then I I fight two people and I leave. There's if there's something that I think is pretty funny and I bring it to a crowd and they don't, I go, all right, I didn't do a good enough job describing this or figuring it out, but something is here, I feel, so I'll keep trying to work it until I can sort of figure it out.
It's brewing, something's brewing in there, and
Yeah, I'm like, I
just
like this idea, and I feel if I, figure it out enough, I can get other
yeah.
people on board um with it. So yeah, I'll keep trying to figure it out.
I love that. The first time I actually heard about you was through we have a mutual friend, Dave Merhej.
Hmm.
He was like, dude, you got to listen to Nathan Macintosh, and just so he did a gig here, like a private gig for a friend of mine, and um he was like, this is one of the funniest guys ever. Um, who are some of your closest like confidants that you can mention on here that you kind of um I don't want to say like test your bits, but that you kind of go through with someone like, oh, I'm writing this out. Do you think this is good?
Hmm.
Is there someone that you go to, whether it's a comic or not? It could be, your
It's
spouse
my
or whoever.
girlfriend
Yeah. Okay. So you go
because
to,
yeah, my girlfriend's also very funny, but I'll be like, I'll sometimes, like a lot of times I'll just write a thing or think of a thing and I'll be like, okay, that's funny, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I will go, hey, I had this idea, and I'll say it to her and she'll be like, yeah, that's funny. Or she'll be like, that's not funny. And I'll go like, no, but it is funny. It's like, you see what I'm trying to do here.
yeah.
Um, so probably her. Yeah. And like I talk to Dave all the time. I just talked to him last night, but it's never about joke
Work.
stuff.
Okay.
No, it is about work, but
Oh,
it's more like, didn't this fucking suck?
it's more
It's
like
never,
yeah.
sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say it's more about like the back end, like
Hmm.
bitching, I guess, to be like, oh, that
Yes.
was shit. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I was talking to him yesterday because me and Dave have known each other for a long, long time. Like
yeah.
we both kind of started at the same time at the shows in Toronto
Hmm.
that were brutal. Like we were just doing open mics,
Yeah.
that were some of these, and a lot of these places were open mics in bars where the place didn't know there was going to be a show. So there's people sitting there, they would just turn the TVs off. Like there's people sitting there watching
Yeah.
sports and they shut the TVs off. All right, we're going to have comedy now. And then we would
Yeah.
get up and just bother people.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot, we talk about it like a bunch of stuff. We're actually saying yesterday that like, we're pretty lucky to be doing any of this, thinking about like, we performed in bars that people didn't want a show. To be able to turn that into even doing any of this at all for any amount of money is ridiculous. Dude, ridiculous.
Yeah.
I started doing comedy when I was 19. You
Mhm.
write a thing down on a napkin or a receipt, and then you go say it to drunk, drinking people who didn't want this, and somehow, some way, you're able to make anything? I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
It's a crazy job, and people just want to watch a hockey game. You know what I mean? They were just there to watch the game. You know?
Dude, they just started watching the game. They got a wing. You can see he's got a wing and he's about to take a bite while watching.
Yeah.
Pew! All right, we're doing
Yeah.
comedy. This guy's like, the fuck? And then we would,
Yeah.
and no, again, not a lot of these adult humans want to hear from a 19-year-old tiny little child
Right.
who's like, Toronto's weird because I'm coming from Halifax.
Halifax. Yeah.
So,
It's
anyways,
it's funny you mentioned that. I actually just yesterday I was watching a documentary about Bill Hicks,
mhm.
and one of his siblings said, "Isn't it crazy how comics are pretty much one of the only people that you pay to hear speak?
Yeah.
Whether you could pay to see a politician, or you can pay to see whoever it may be, but people are paying to see you
Hmm.
talk." I thought that was an interesting fact, and I mean, there must be moments where, let's say, you're either playing theaters or you're playing bars, like we just mentioned. Um, uh, how do you deal with kind of like a disconnect in a theater versus like in a bar, for example? Like, has there ever been a moment for you where you're on stage, you're performing this gig, and you're not getting the feedback that you want? And like, and
Yeah.
do you just like, I don't want to get dark, but I mean, but do you hit?
Dude, no, we can get dark. So,
Yeah,
two of the worst shows I've ever had in my entire life,
do it,
okay?
go for it.
Two of the worst shows I've ever had in my entire life have honestly been in the last few years, like in the last like
Okay.
5, 6 years. And one of them was in Winnipeg, and the
Shout
other
out.
one was in Baltimore, okay? And we're talking like, man, dude, I left both of these. I left both of these places, and I went back to the hotel or whatever, and I just went, I can't, I can't do this anymore. Like I called my girlfriend and I go, I just can't, man. I can't. I don't even know what I'm trying to connect to here. I mean, this is the one in Winnipeg. There was about 8 people who showed up, I think, just to heckle. They yelled at the host right away. They yelled at the other guy right away. And then Baltimore, man. Oh my God. It was this late show. This dad and his son were both very drunk to the
Oh,
point where they were like stacking beer bottles in the front row. I'm trying to talk to them. The son kind of like threatened me. Nobody, the staff, nobody really cared.
mm,
And then after, anyways, the son gets up and leaves for a second, and the dad's like, "Oh yeah, sorry about my son. His mom just died today." And so I'm like, "Yo, dude." Anyways, it was one of the worst. It was one of truly. You just feel,
yeah,
you feel like you're in an alleyway, right? Alone under garbage, and you're reaching out. You're like, "Hey, can anybody see me?" And people just walk by or spit at you. They're like, they kick glass in your face. I mean, it's like, I just went back to the hotel and go, I can't. How do you, why would I continue to do this? And for
yeah.
who and for what, man? and then wake up the next day and do the next show. But
So why are you doing it? So why are you doing it?
I
guess.
don't know, man. Well, I think I seriously like I don't know. I like writing ideas down and saying them to people. The sad reality of me, right, being an idiot, okay, dummy, can't just buy into the system and get a fucking tie and go to work, make some money, and bitch about it on the weekends. Can't do it, right? Just can't do it. I'm a fucking dummy, all right? If no matter what I did, no matter where I went, I would do comedy in some way, shape, or form. Like if I was in an office, I would be fucking complaining to people in some funny way at a thing, or like so it's just what I do, whether I'm doing stand up or not. And I happen to like stand up like another idiot, like just stupid. Just get a job, man. If you're a young person, you're gonna do stand up, don't buy some shoes and go corporate. Just stop it. Walk into any office anywhere and be like, I'm willing to give it over. Here's all my life. Here's all my time. Give me money and benefits. Thank you. And you go in there and you got a mug and a your desk has your wife or your kids, and every day you go, it's for them. And you just keep, and then 30 years from now, you go to fucking Aruba and you go to a buffet and you just snort bacon. Does that sound so bad?
No, it sounds pretty great. Honestly, now I want bacon is what I'm thinking about, to be honest. I got a few more things to talk about before I let you go. So I watched a bit of yours earlier today, which really resonated with me. It was the one you posted a few days ago on YouTube about Best Buy getting rid of physical media. And getting rid of Blu-rays, and people had no fucking idea what you were talking about, which is actually like, which is baffling to me. Behind me, I got a huge collection of DVDs and Blu-rays actually here to the side of me as well. What are your thoughts actually on these chains of stores slowly getting rid of physical media? Because for me, it's super important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the stuff, so I put out a special last year, whatever the hell I want to be called, all about money. It's on my YouTube. It's called Money Never Wakes. And the stuff I'm working on now, I'm calling it Down with Tech.
Yeah.
And it's all about tech stuff. The Blu-ray thing freaks me out, because if you don't own a movie and Jeff Bezos doesn't think it's one of his favorites, you might just not be able to watch this thing one day.
Ever.
And people say this to me and they go, just pirate the movie. And then I have a whole joke about how awful pirating movies is. It's a horrible experience. You know, it's like there's viruses, porn. It's just like, it's like awful. I hate it. So I have been doing the same thing. I went and bought a bunch of Blu-rays and stuff too, of like movies that I really, really like, because I go, man, this just won't be here one day. And I think once that does stop being a thing, because Best Buy is going to stop selling them this year, which other places will do, then they'll just stop fucking making them. And I think in a little while, people will see, oh shit, that just a bunch of shit just doesn't exist anymore. It's gone.
Yeah. It's weird to me, kind of like how things kind of like keep coming back in time, right? Like now I'm a huge vinyl collector. My parents were huge vinyl collectors. Like it came back. Tapes are coming back now. Like cassette tapes are coming back.
I heard that. Yeah.
VHS is like they're being sold for like insane amounts of money.
Yes.
So
Blu-rays
there's always
will be the same.
Yeah, it's like just a never-ending cycle of recycling, I guess.
Also, the other part of it too is, if you don't own it, Kindle does this every once in a while, and they'll do it with movies too. Because people are just like, well, I bought it on Amazon or whatever the hell.
Yeah, and
there's people that have Kindle. They got a Kindle. They bought a book, but then Amazon decides we don't have that book anymore. So they take, even though you bought it, it's gone. It is taken back. If you don't have like the thing, like an actual thing, you don't own anything. And I like, this is now just a smaller degree, I like packages. I like box art. I like
touch things, to touch it.
Yeah, man. I like owning a thing. I know there's some people that just want a small white cube in their house that they talk to.
Right.
I don't want that. I like PS5, right? I haven't gotten one yet, but they still have they got the digital version and then the hard copy version. I'll get the hard copy version and ride that out until they stop doing it. When it goes all digital, I'm probably out, because I like a thing. You get more stuff.
Yeah.
Blu-rays come with special features, stuff, things,
Yes.
stuff. You get stuff.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. Are there any specials of yours that are on DVD or VHS or
No,
no? We should
no,
probably
it's
do that.
all.
We should launch it. We should do that. Fuck it.
I probably should actually. I should probably put the stuff I'm gonna tape down with tech on VHS and Blu-ray. That'd be just funny, just in general. I don't know. That's probably $1 billion to do that.
Probably. I can talk to some sponsors if you need. We'll try and get this off the ground. I mean,
Please, can we get MGM and
yeah,
Orion? Remember that old?
yeah. Yo, that company, I shit you not. They made a film this year called American Fiction with Jeffrey
Oh
Wright.
yeah, yeah.
It's Orion,
I did not know that.
and it's like being like nominated for tons of awards now and things like that. When I saw it on screen, I was like, holy shit, what is
Yeah, I
this?
would do the same because we
Yeah,
haven't seen that logo in a long, long
yeah,
time. I didn't know that. So they're coming
yeah.
back. That's great.
Coming back. Is there something that you own though physically that you're very proud of that you own, whether it's a movie or a game or?
What do I got that I like? I mean, a lot of the movies that I have are movies that I like really, really like. I mean, speaking of, I bought RoboCop
Okay.
because
Or yeah,
of, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Because man, as a kid, you see that movie. I remember as a kid, there was like a whole bunch of RoboCop video games and all that kind of stuff. And we just thought, oh, RoboCop's cool. Then you watch the movie and you go, wow, man, this is a very dark, like unbelievably dark movie that's also so, the social commentary and the satire in that movie is so good.
Yeah.
It's just like, I have to own this because again, if it just goes into the mist, I need to be able to still see this.
Yeah.
Couple things like that, like that They Live,
Oh, They Live.
um, Terminator.
Okay, so you're very into like the sci-fi dystopian that
Mhm, mhm,
type of genre. Interesting.
mhm.
Which kind
Yeah.
of is perfect because it just ties into Down with Tech, right? With
Mhm.
your special. And I mean, it's kind of so I mean, this is your chance to plug anything you want to plug, Nathan. This is it.
So I got a special on YouTube, like I said, called Money Never Wakes. Check it out. Crazily enough, New York Times said it's the best YouTube special of 2023. Real thing. Look it up.
Congratulations. Amazing.
Thank you. I don't say that. That's not me being like, ugh. Anyways, Instagram at Nathan Macintosh, website nathanmacintosh.com, and yeah.
Yeah, Vancouver, February 16th at the
Yes, good
Biltmore.
God.
Good God.
How did I even forget this? February 16th at the Biltmore Cabaret, JFL Vancouver.
Yeah.
Come out.
I gotta ask you this question because it's our signature question here on the show. Huge music and movie lovers, myself and my partners. So, what is one song you will have played at your funeral and why?
Man, that's tough. I mean, do people usually take a minute to think
Yeah,
about that? Because
they
that's
take a
big.
minute. Yeah, take a minute.
Oh God. One song I want to play at my funeral and why?
And again, it does not have to be conventional. It could be the weirdest
Mm.
fucking thing ever. Doesn't matter. You're dead.
One that comes to mind is uh well to God. Um I think the song, there's so many good songs. I think the song Simple Man, Leonard Skinner's it's great.
Mm,
It's just like when you really listen to that song, you go, Jesus, this thing is great. I also have I love You've Got Another Thing Coming by Judas Priest
okay.
because this is such a memory stuck in my head as a child.
Mm,
My mom, so whatever, I grew up without a dad. My mom had me when she was really young. So when I was a kid, my mom was very like kind of like tough, you know what I mean? She didn't like keep anything from me. So anyways, I remember one time she was going to we were going to like a byway, I think, downtown Miramichi, New Brunswick, their little square.
okay.
And anyways, we were going into byway because she was gonna get me a little Beetlejuice toy.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, but I just remember as we're going in there, she's just eating a cigarette, blaring that song. And I just remember her pulling into the spot with that song going. And then she puts the cigarette out. We both go in to get a Beetlejuice toy. And I just remember being like, first of all, the song kicks ass.
Mm,
And I also just love the idea of this woman just blasting it to get her small child a Beetlejuice toy.
I love that story. I saw it all kind of like cinematically in my mind. It's such a perfect fucking like anecdote.
Yeah, I love that song. And I think I think that song also has like more like I don't know, more weight to it, I guess you
Okay.
can say, than just when I heard it as a child, like when you listen to it.
Yeah, there's
So
more beyond the surface of the song.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So one of those two, well, both of them. But you know what? Actually, I want speakers put in my casket,
Yeah.
right, blaring at me
Yeah.
of just you've got another thing coming on a loop. So if you were walking through the cemetery, you could faintly hear it 6 feet underground.
And you'll be there with your Beetlejuice toy. Just oh man, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. Stick online just 1 second as I end this podcast. It's
Great
always
talking to you, man.
it's always the weirdest thing to stop recording.